During the reign of Caliph Harun al-Rashid, there lived a poor woodcutter named Hindbad in Baghdad. One day, while carrying a bundle of wood, he passed by the mansion of Sindbad the Sailor. He sat down to rest and, looking at the mansion, felt envious of Sindbad's wealth. A passerby told him that the mansion belonged to Sindbad the Sailor. Hindbad wondered how someone with a similar name could be so rich while he was so poor. Sindbad, who was sitting with his friends, overheard Hindbad's conversation and asked him to come inside. Sindbad asked Hindbad what he was saying outside, and Hindbad, frightened, made up a story. Sindbad reassured him and told him that he would tell him the story of his life and how he acquired his wealth. He called for a servant to bring Hindbad's wood and asked him to sit down. Sindbad began his story, telling Hindbad and his friends that his father was a wealthy merchant who had left him a large inheritance. However, Sindbad squandered his wealth on a life of luxury and, when his money ran out, he was left with nothing. He decided to travel to India and trade goods to make a profit. He bought goods and set sail, stopping at various ports along the way. One day, while exploring an island, he got separated from his ship and was left stranded. He survived on wild fruits and berries and eventually found a group of people who were trying to catch a wild horse. They asked for his help, and in return, they took him to their king, who welcomed him and asked him to stay. Sindbad stayed with the king for some time, learning about the local customs and way of life. He eventually found a ship that was willing to take him back home. When he returned to Baghdad, he found that his goods had been sold, and he had made a significant profit. He was reunited with his friends and family, and they were amazed by his stories of adventure. Sindbad gave Hindbad a bag of gold coins and asked him to return the next day to hear the rest of his story. Hindbad returned home, happy and grateful for the generous gift. The next day, Hindbad returned to Sindbad's mansion, dressed in fine clothes, and Sindbad continued his story. Sindbad told Hindbad and his friends that after his first voyage, he became restless and decided to set sail again. He bought more goods and set off on another journey. This time, he traveled to the island of Serendib, modern-day Sri Lanka, where he met the king and was welcomed as a guest. The king asked him to stay for a while, and Sindbad agreed. During his stay, Sindbad learned about the local customs and way of life. He also heard about a magical spring that was said to have healing properties. Sindbad decided to explore the island and find the spring. He traveled through the jungle, facing many dangers along the way. Finally, he found the spring and bathed in its waters, feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. When he returned to the king's court, he was greeted as a hero. The king asked him to stay longer, but Sindbad was eager to return home. The king gave him a generous gift of precious stones and gold, and Sindbad set sail for Baghdad once again. When he returned home, he found that his goods had been sold, and he had made an even greater profit than before. He was hailed as a hero and a brilliant trader. Sindbad gave Hindbad another bag of gold coins and asked him to return the next day to hear the rest of his story. And so the story of Sindbad the Sailor continues, with many more adventures and voyages to come.